What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers are heavily active in the trade market for a center. And after the game last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, sounds very reasonable, right? Like, the Lakers need that help. They need that size on the interior. I still don't expect them to necessarily go get, like, a starting caliber, right? Like, a Vucevic, who I've kind of came around more to than previously, but I don't think they'll go that route. I still think Valanciunas is the most likely scenario, and we'll touch on that here in a moment because he is still the most linked to the Lakers. But more so in the sense of, like, for example, like when we played the Cavs last night, right? Like, even if you don't have that, like, two starting centers, right? Well, in that matchup, Anthony Davis is just getting, pushed around by Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Well, you could insert that other center and now match up. It's more about having the capability and matchup potential for those particular lineups or those particular matchups, where it's like, okay, this team has two physical interior presences, right? Like, we can throw in a Valanciunas and an Anthony Davis and help kind of offset and alleviate some of that teaming up on Anthony Davis, because that's what the Cleveland Cavaliers did. They just basically just hounded AD, and he wasn't the most physical. He wasn't the most imposing, unfortunately, which was frustrating. But nonetheless, right, you look at kind of the situation at the center spot. They could use a backup center. We have Koloko and Hayes. They've been kind of hurt. Hayes, I believe, was back, but I think, JJ wanted to kind of give it another game or two, right? Don't want to rush him back in these hurt again because you're very limited on centers. And you can only play Koloko so many games because he's on a two-way, right? So those are things that you have to keep in mind when you're looking like, why aren't they playing Koloko? Why aren't they playing these guys? It's like, because you kind of don't have a choice, right? But ideally, the Lakers could use a backup center, and that seems to be the main priority. I still think a point-of-attack guard should be the priority. I think, like I said, a Brogdon, a Bruce Brown, even like a Alonzo, although, I have my concerns about him. I have my concerns about Brogdon, too. Bruce Brown, I know some people have the same concerns, but Bruce Brown doesn't have the extensive injury history that these other guys got. So I kind of trust Bruce Brown to stay on the court and stay healthier. But nonetheless, I still kind of prefer the idea of a perimeter guy. I mean, look at the Cavs. Right? Like, yeah, the interior was a problem, but we didn't lose because we got dominated on the inside. We lost because we couldn't stop them, and they hit 18 threes and shot 39% from three-point range. All of these games, you watch these games, it's not the interior that's the problem, it's the exterior. And again, teams jack up these threes, which lead to a bunch of long ball rebounds. Even in the Cavs game, almost all of their offensive rebounds came from their perimeter guys because they're just going up and getting it, right? Like, those are the kind of things. I still believe that the perimeter is probably the best course of action for the Lakers. But nonetheless, right, Lakers are still expected to evaluate. They're not looking to necessarily rush. If the right deal is on the table, they will take that deal. But based on several different reports, I always try to look at what's the consensus here. The consensus is that they're looking to dangle Gabe Vincent and then whatever assets that are necessary in order to get one of these centers. And Valanciunas still seems to appear to be the most likely candidate. Question is, why haven't the Lakers done it? Right? Because there have been multiple reports that have been like, hey, Lakers could get Valanciunas for Gabe Vincent in 2 seconds. Well, you have Gabe Vincent in 2 seconds, so why not Valanciunas? I think it's because the Lakers believe, which I don't think is inaccurate, that he's probably going to be there regardless. Right? So it's one of those things of yes, you could use a center sooner rather than later. However, do you really want to rush and go get Valanciunas? And what if Kessler, you are able to get Kessler? Or what if Nick Richards eventually becomes available? Or maybe you go revisit and go get a Day'Ron Sharp or something like that, right? Or, maybe you do decide, hey, you know what, let's go get a Vucevic or something, right? That's the thing. Right, if you're the Lakers, I do think patience is the correct route. I don't think Valanciunas is going to go anywhere. I mean, it's always possible, one of these teams, because there have been several teams that have been linked to Valanciunas, but it's the same kind of thought. Why haven't they gone and why haven't they went and got him, right? So, again, because he's, as a backup, Valanciunas is fine, right? But he's still not, the most preferred, right? He's a guy that, yes, ideal, on surface level. If I was just hey, I could get you a 12 and 10 guy in 15 minutes of action, right? And add him to this team. You'd be like, what are we doing, right? Like, go get that guy. What are you talking about, right? Like, you look at, like, Vucevic. He's, like, a 20-10 guy in, like, 30 seconds. Like, and it's just, like, why wouldn't you go and get Valanciunas? But then if I'm like, oh, that person is Valanciunas, it's kind of like the blind test review. Like, here's this guy and this guy's stats, and then here is, Vucevic, and everyone's like, go get that guy, right? Like, and then you reveal it, and it's like, Jonas Valanciunas, and everyone's like, what? Like, it's kind of how it feels, right, with Valanciunas. Look, I'm not against getting Valanciunas at all. Again, he's not my favorite, right? I'd like a little more mobile big, but there are some pros and cons with Valanciunas, right? One, again, his scoring ability, where he doesn't need setup. Because a guy like a Day'Ron Sharpe, even a Walker Kessler, right? Like, these guys need setup. They're reliant on, LeBron and Reeves and these other guys to kind of get them the ball in their spots and be kind of lob threats. Where a guy like Valanciunas, you can just dump the ball down to him and he can go make it work. He can also kick it out and do, right? Like, he's the guy. And I've even said, like, I would prefer Valanciunas, because a lot of people want Vucevic, and like I said, I've came around more to him than I previously did. The only reason I'm not like, go get Vu, is because of LeBron, right? Like, is it best for this team to have LeBron play the three? That's where the dilemma lies. But for argument's sake, right? Like, the only reason I'm not, like, I would actually be okay and maybe even argue Vucevic or Valanciunas over Vucevic, those two V's, right? Is because of the extra guy, right, that you could get. Right, so instead of a Vucevic, you could get, say, a Jonas Valanciunas and like a Cody Martin, another 6'6", 6'7" versatile wing. Like, literally, right? For actually less, right? Like $2 million less. So it's like, it's things like that, like where you get more for the same amount. But then you could argue, like, Vucevic, he's probably the best center that's on the market, and he's like dirt cheap. Like, the value is almost too good to pass up, right? Like, the value is almost like, it's almost worth it just to do it for the cost and just make teams have to figure it out, right? And you try to mask, a LeBron James somehow, some way, right? You're hoping that Dorian Finney-Smith, right? If they were more willing to, like, bring Reeves off the bench, right? Like, I would be more game, right? Because here's my thought, right? Here's my thought process, right? Is you go get a Vucevic, and then you go get a Bruce Brown, and you bring Reeves off the bench. Because now your starting five is Bruce Brown, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Nikola Vucevic, right? And the reason for that is now LeBron, yes, he still has a lot that he needs to account for, just playing the three naturally, but now he's not like the second best defensive guy, right? Like, you have Bruce Brown as the point of attack that's going to defend the best guard. You got Dorian Finney-Smith, who's now going to be that, other point of attack, perimeter, versatile defender, right? Now LeBron James can kind of play a little bit more of that free safety role. He doesn't have to, he's not responsible for defending, right? So, for example, it's like, okay, like LeBron, if you have Vucevic, now he's got to defend out on the perimeter. So now he's, in the other match, he's chasing around Karis LeVert or Darius Garland or something like that, right? Like, is that really what you want LeBron doing game in and game out, right? But now it's like, okay, well, he could still have to play out on the perimeter, right? He still can kind of play that free safety role. You have Anthony Davis as the help defense, who can also step out on the perimeter, defend the weak side, defend the strong side, and then Vu down low. I like that better than Austin Reeves and his defensive liabilities. And now the only real defensive guy you have out on the perimeter is Dorian Finney-Smith. Or you're asking LeBron to basically buy in defensively, possession after possession after possession. I just worry about wearing him down. Problem is, they're not going to bring Reeves off the bench. And the way he's playing right now, you can't, right? If we're being honest. The way he's been playing, like, the last thing you're doing is bringing him off the bench. But it's kind of like my thought process if you were to bring in a Vu to kind of help take the pressure off of LeBron. You just need to have two very versatile, stout defenders that can kind of mask it there. And I think it's something that you need regardless. But I don't know. I still think and lean towards maybe getting Vucevic and a Bruce Brown. You can maybe get both, right? I've thought about like making a video diving into like the two of them specifically. Like this might be the best scenario for the Lakers. But we'll see. Time will tell, right? Like, they need a center, right? It's like every time you play one of these like bigger teams, it's like, you could use a center. I still just don't think it's like do or die. Like, I think we need that other perimeter guy, whether it's another 3-and-D wing and you're just playing Dorian at the 2, or you're getting a point of attack guard and like a Bruce Brown, Brogdon, whomever, like Lonzo, whatever. Right? I just think that those are the things that you need more than because the center, I think you just need a serviceable backup. And once you get to the playoffs, you're only playing that guy, 10 minutes a game anyway. Because Anthony Davis is going to play the 5 most of the time anyway. But I don't know. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it either way. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.